Meeting of the Hildebran Town Council. Welcome everyone for being here. Thank y'all for coming out. We will begin with a moment of silence, so join with me now. Thank you. And Terry, you're going to lead us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, review and adopt the agenda. Just make a motion whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
All in favor? Thank you. All right, approve the minutes for, and I believe we can do both those together, correct? Okay. For the September 26, 2022 regular meeting minutes and the October 11th, 2022 special meeting minutes. Make a motion when you're ready.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes September 26th and October the 11th.
All in favor? Thank you. Public comments?
There are two named Rick Barnes. Mr. Barnes, on 3 minutes.
This video, I just want to put this at the top of your agenda again, since we have not received any response from the last meeting. I was hoping we'd at least hear, hey, we understand what your worries are, but we have not heard that yet. So I'm wondering if the 2 bills that are included with this is going to be paid, since our rental agreement hasn't been updated. As far as the gym itself, the back of the gym and the concession. And I'm not gonna take the whole 3 minutes, so just let me know one way or the other. Because we can find another facility if we have to. Thank you.
Next is Karen O'Donnell. You got 3 minutes to go.
Hi, I'm Karen O'Donnell from Mount Hebron Lutheran, and I'm here to offer an invitation for a community Thanksgiving that the 3 major churches, the Baptist Church, First Baptist, Hildebran Methodist, and Mount Hebron Lutheran are opening to the community on November 20th. At 5 o'clock, the meal will take place in the fellowship hall of the Baptist Church, and then there will be a short service after that. All are invited, no exceptions. And that will affect your item number E, which we won't be seeking to use your facilities, largely because there was a date conflict.
Well, thank you. Is that all?
That's it.
Okay. Let's go to number 6, old business. 6A, consider approval of revised contract with West Consultants for professional services for the Royal Park project.
Yeah, so currently we are still working out a contract with them so we can move that until next month. If we are able to get that contract back from them prior to the next meeting, if council and West Consultants are eager to get into an agreement before then, we can get with council members and set up a special meeting date, probably for the 2nd week of November. But at this time, just table it.
6B, consider approval of general liability insurance requirements for rentals, events, and leases.
Okay, yes. So several months back, staff met with representatives from North Carolina League of Municipalities Insurance Division to discuss our coverages and rental requirements. The scope of that discussion expanded once we began discussing gaps in coverage based on our existing rental lease and event requirements. The league reviewed our existing policies to help us design a new policy with new requirements for a contract between the town and parties interested in the use of our facilities. Staff has the new proposed policy attached herein as item 6B in your agenda. The policy covers any individuals or group renting, leasing, or holding an event in or on town property to provide proof of general liability coverage. It also provides options to replace a general liability policy with either event coverage through TULIP or a homeowner's policy, as was suggested by the league. So the new policy provides coverage amounts and exceptions for non-event basketball uses. It also discusses sponsorship requirements and additional requirements within the policy. Staff at this time recommends council approve the policy. Prior to submitting this to council, staff did have our insurance carrier and attorney vet the policy. So we just need a motion and a vote.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion?
I have a question,
Okay.
maybe stupid, I don't care. I'm just wondering of all the events that they've had through the years, why has this come up now? It's not that I'm against it, I'm just wondering why it's never been brought up.
No. And when they came by, I don't know if it was a month or 2 months ago, but no, basically how this all started, a review at any point, was essentially we had a gentleman who wanted to rent the basketball gym for a basketball camp this past summer. What had happened was he asked us what insurance requirements he needed. Well, when we started looking at it, we normally advise them to go through TULIP for an events policy. The issue came up was when we had him pick out his TULIP policy, the policy did not cover the students. And our biggest concern was, okay, well, if you've got a basketball camp out there and the students aren't covered, you know, why? So when we reached out to the insurance, the League of Municipalities, our insurance carrier, they got back to us and explained, well, yeah, TULIP's not gonna cover that. We're not gonna cover that. That's something he's gonna have to seek in extra. So when they came down to have that discussion with us, we essentially started going through all of our rental policy, all of our insurance requirements, and they started to point out coverage gaps that we had and would continue to have if we did not update the policy. So that's why we chose to try and create something.
All right. Any other questions? All in favor? Thank you.
Before we move on,
Yes.
there was, part of the policy that exempts, just like group basketball, like repeated each week, that we have the same little group that's playing pickup ball. So we currently have 2 groups and they can be exempt, so I just wanted to bring that before you to see if you guys were okay with those, exempting those 2. I do recall when she was here, she did mention that, plus the pavilion could be exempt. But the 2 renters that we have is David Howard. They've been using the gym for years, like every Sunday 2 to 4. Then we have another one that's a church group. They do 7 to 9 a.m. on Sundays. And they've been doing that for probably 2 years. And we've not had any issues. In fact, they're the ones, if they see something in the gym, they come in. So I just wanted to ask if that was those 2 groups
Well,
get
and
exempt.
yeah, and to Alice's point, the piece of advice they gave us on that was not to require a general liability policy, but put signage up in the gym that says play at your own risk. You know, this is a contact sport. Hildebran's not liable for any injuries that occur on, on the court for those type of incidents. So that was their advice to us. That's why we kept that in the policy as an exception.
And then if anything happens, that there is a problem, we could reverse that.
Right, correct, yeah.
So we need any kind of consensus on that, or just?
I would make a motion in it's David Howard and Travis Hoke. It's their groups.
what do we call it, just individual groups?
Yeah, it's like a pickup games. It's the same group of people every single week.
Okay. All right, is there a motion?
We have that.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
All right, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, 7, new business, 7A, consider approval of proclamation for Burke County NC Nonprofit Day. And we have Abigail Taylor.
How are you?
Good.
My name's Abigail. I'm with the Burke County United Way. I'm the marketing manager. And so the last 2 years we've done One Burke Gives Giving Day. It's changed for whatever is the Tuesday after Black Friday. And so it's a worldwide giving day. And so we have also tried to make it for the past 2 years also a county-wide giving day, and we reach out to each of the municipalities and ask them to also give us a proclamation. And I'm aware that you've already made that for us, so just want to thank you. I just want to add that One Burke Gives last year grew exponentially from the year before, which was the first year. And so last year it was 29 nonprofits that joined us. It's an online platform. So anyone from anywhere can give during a 24-hour period. We push it out in marketing. We say give, and we let everyone know what nonprofits are joining us. And they, of course, they range from every type of service in Burke County a lot of the time. And so last year, together, within 24 hours, we raised more than $100,000 together. So we're hoping this year we can do even bigger and more, and provide even more funds to a wider range of services for nonprofits.
Well, thank you.
Is that it? You're good?
Anybody got any questions?
Okay, cool, thank you.
Yes, and we have the proclamation for you. Yes, if the council would like to get a picture with her for the proclamation, would that work? Do we- Yeah. Yes. When do you want?
Okay.
Bring the stand. Here,
Here's
here, in front of the flag?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
One,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You poop it out.
I wrote it.
My city, when it moves close, gets out the window, and just what the.
Okay, now we need a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to approve the proclamation.
All right, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, 7B, presentation regarding Western Piedmont Community College. And Dr. Welch is here with us, so come on up.
Good evening.
Evening.
Hope y'all are doing okay. I'm just going to back it up. You got a copy of the PowerPoint there.
Thank you.
We'll touch on it, just give you a little background because we're in higher education, so we need lots of extra paper. There you go. One, thank you for an opportunity just to talk to you tonight. I want to give you just a brief update on the college. Western Piedmont Community College is our community's college. And really, over the past couple of years, it's been an interesting time. I came in as president in 2020 as COVID was moving along. So I got an interesting introduction to Burke County, having come in from outside. And it is really fantastic to be able to get out and have an opportunity to talk to folks and see things going on in person, because we have a great county, great opportunities. So one of the things that we did over the past year is we updated our strategic plan. You've got a copy of that in there. But through that, we really looked at our vision and our mission for the college. Who do we want to be? And when you look at our vision, it's really about being a transformational community leader to make a difference in our community. and to empower all individuals to achieve success. And that's something that you see, they're transformational, community focused, and then that people have success. And I say it this way, if you really want to boil it down, we want every person in our county to have their best opportunity for success. And the best way that we do that, I believe, is through our community college. We drive economic development. We provide opportunities for people. So when you look at our county, more than 20% of our county is in poverty. We have folks that live in poverty, right at 20%. I believe that the best opportunity for people to get out of poverty is to gain a skill, to gain knowledge and education. And Western Piedmont is our opportunity to do that. The other thing that people do not realize when you look across our county is we're top 5 in the state, not in a good number, but in disconnected youth. Between the ages of 16 and 24, 22% of our folks are not in college and they're not working. They're doing neither. They're at home. Somebody asked me what I thought about it. I said, I think they're geniuses in one way. They figured out how to live in a way I can't figure out. I'm not sure how you don't go to college and don't go to work, you can still survive, but they're figuring it out. Sort of figuring it out. They're hurting their future, and quite honestly, they're not in a position to contribute to our communities. And we want folks to be successful, because when people are successful, they're able to contribute back to those that need help. If you look at that pie chart that you've got on the graph there, over half of our students at Western Piedmont are receiving Pell Grant. They're eligible for Pell Grant. So around 20% of our county is in poverty, but over half of the Western Piedmont students are receiving aid because their income is low. So we serve that population pretty significantly. That's what we do. And I believe that it's a path out of poverty. If you get a good skill and you build a career, I'll show you in a minute, you can change your economic makeup. So when we looked at our strategic plan, we based it off of that vision, and it's based around 4 pillars. You've got your next slide there is basically puzzle pieces, and what you'll see is equitable access and success, because poverty doesn't hit all areas of our community the same. Our Hispanic population, our Black population are not in poverty the same as our white population. You have age difference in our county. So we look at different areas and how do we provide that. So everyone, whatever area of our county you are in, have equitable access and success. And so we don't just look at it by race or gender or by age, but where does somebody live? How are they getting into education? What can we do to support that? Then it's not just that they get in, it's that they learn something. It does you no good to come to college to study welding if you don't learn how to weld. Learning outcomes matter. And so we're focused on rigor, we're focused on high quality, and we want and we measure that when students come to us, they actually learn something. We do fail students. I would say they choose to fail in a lot of ways. We work hard to give them opportunities, but if they cannot do it, we do not just pass folks through. So we have folks that are not successful. And that brings us to the third thing, is that we're extremely focused on completion and transfer. So we want to get them in, we want them to actually learn something, and then we want them to complete. We don't want dropouts. We don't take pride in people who don't make it. We want to provide opportunities. And like I mentioned, when you look at the poverty rate in our county, we lose most of our students, the vast majority, for non-academic reasons. Non-academic reasons. If you are at the lower socioeconomic status and you have a flat tire and you've got to wait 2 weeks for a paycheck because you're working, you're not working in a high-paying job, and you miss 2 weeks of class, you may not be able to keep up. So how do we help students move through? That's part of our strategic plan. And then finally, the last piece that you see there is postgraduate outcomes. So we don't just want to get you in. We don't want you just to learn. We don't want you just to complete. We want to own that you're getting a good job with livable wages. We're not interested in programs that lead to minimum wage. We are interested in programs that lead to livable wages, where folks can support a family. And that's what drives our programs. And I'll talk about some of the programs we've got that we're starting and working on to drive that in our county, things that we see and that we hear and that we have feedback on. Just to give you a couple examples out of our strategic plan, not going to read all of that. You've got a copy of our full strategic plan there, but just to highlight a couple of things. But we want to be a culture of caring, that every student that comes to us feels comfortable at Western Piedmont. We want to care about our students, care about our community, and care about each other. We want all of our students to feel like they're part of our college. We want all parts of Burke County, our service area, to feel like that we're their community, their college, that we're part of you. And so that's part of our strategic plan. We want to address that and to be in our community. It's one of the reasons I wanted to come out and be able to talk and be here, hear from folks and see folks, because we don't want to just be stuck on our campus. We want to be out in the community, making a difference all across our service area. The next slide that you'll see there kind of bases in that. Our enrollment in 2019, we've been in a 10-year enrollment decline. Most community colleges across the country, that is true. Coming out of the recession in 2008-9, most community colleges hit a really high enrollment, 2010 or 11. Some as late as 2012, and from that point started to decline. We had an uptick in 2019 fall right before COVID, but we've been hurt by COVID just like everybody else has. What you will see is a slight increase this fall. Feel like our enrollment is stabilized a little bit. We have a strong dual enrollment program with the gray and orange bars that you see there next to the blue. We have programs that run at Drone. We have programs that run at East Burke that are providing students an opportunity to earn college credit while in high school. And that's something that we continue to see growth. So our enrollment is okay. It's not fantastic. We would like to see some more growth in that. One of the areas that we do see a challenge is in students over age 25, folks that are coming back. That's an area where we see that we've got work to do. The next slide that you see there is about retention, and I wanted to mention this with you because it goes to the challenge. When you think about socioeconomic status, what you see there on that orange bar and that red bar is that students who return may have a higher income than students who do not. So the lower socioeconomic status students do not return in as good a percentage as students who have more economic resources. And the difference between that really is about whether someone is an adult student or a dependent student on the family income. So for one, you've got a difference of almost $3,000 and the other a difference of $6,000 for adjusted gross income. What that says to us is that finances and financial support for our students, if we want them to be successful and want to have an impact in our community, makes a difference. And what you'll see on that next slide there is that over 70% of our students receive some form of financial aid. Not going to read all of that to you, but basically just to give you a highlights, Pell Grant, I mentioned over half of our students receive Pell Grant. GEAR, continuing education grant, students who take continuing education. So the enrollment number that you saw earlier, around 1,800, 1,900 students, that's our curriculum fall enrollment. We will serve between 5,000 and 7,000 total students this year. And that's our adult students, continuing ed students, fall and spring, unique students. Prior to COVID, it was about 7,000. But after COVID, CE classes, some of the industries are not doing quite as much. That's dropped down a little bit. But we'll be between 5,000 and 7,000 students that we serve this year, which is significant in our county and what we're doing. So financial aid makes a difference. And this year we heard a student that graduated from our adult high school, our GED, what's also called now our HiSET program. And we're talking to different areas. Let's talk to Logan about how maybe we can bring some of that into the Hildebran area and provide services. We had a young lady who immigrated from Australia, and she showed up. She had a little red suitcase and a kid. And the certifications that she had to work didn't transfer. Her high school stuff did not transfer. So she has no degree. She has no way to really earn a living. And she comes to Western Piedmont. and earns her high school diploma through our GED High Step program. An opportunity to gain a skill that allows her then to move on to take higher education and to be able to get a job that then allows her to contribute to her family. And I remember and I think about a student who has nothing but a little red suitcase. That's all she has. We are her only option to have a better chance at life. And if we don't provide support for that, then we have folks like that that are stuck. And so that's something that we do, and that's why you see the financial aid here, because those are students that we help. The next goal that you see there is we want graduates to exhibit high rates of employment and earnings. That matters to us. So we're looking at how we advise students when they come in so that they understand the programs. And to give you a great example of the opposite kind of what we're talking about is our early child care program. If you've looked at child development centers, child care workers earn minimum wage, barely. But it's something that's so important in our community. It's not a program that we're shutting down, but when we have people come into the college, we want them to understand up front what the employment market looks like. Make your decisions with your eyes wide open, as opposed to coming in and majoring in mechatronics, where you can make $20, $25 an hour, depending on where you go to work. Opens up incredible opportunities. We want students to understand that. So if you look, on average, students who are in an associate degree make $7,000 more per year than students with just a high school diploma. And if you look at that and you think about a high school diploma at $24,000 and the associate degree at $31,000, these are averages, that's almost 30% more. Almost 30% more. That is the impact. Western Piedmont Community College, and you've got an economic analysis that's in your packet there. We have about $118 million impact in the county. 1 out of 15 jobs in the county are directly related to the college. And when you look at that impact, students who come to us, for every dollar that they invest with us, they get more than $5 in return. That's a pretty good return on investment. For taxpayers, Burke County supports us. Taxpayers get $1.40 back for every dollar that is spent with us in return to the county. And then finally, if you look at it from a social standpoint, people who couldn't get an education, get an associate degree, are less likely to go to prison. They're less likely to need aid. They're less likely to be on the social dole. There's more than a $6 return for every dollar that's invested with the college. We make a difference in Burke County, and we take that seriously. We partner with social service agencies because we know that every person we pull out returns to our community. And that's something that we take very seriously. So you see that we're a great investment, and we're continuing to invest in our community. So as we look forward, one of the things that we saw, if you look at that next slide there, is our Regional Construction Trade Solution Center. We are building that on the front of our campus because we could have built a cheaper building, metal frame building on the back of campus, but we wanted to say that carpentry, plumbing, electrical, HVAC work is important. It matters. These are jobs that carry dignity. These are jobs that are important to who you are. And we wanted to say that to people. We want to say it to our community. We put that on the front of campus. It'll open next summer. We are working right now with the school district. There are students at the high schools who are taking construction. We want to recruit those students in. And so we're taking facilities where we had students studying carpentry in an old barn where we did not even have restroom facilities. We've torn that down and raised money for this building so that we can give students a great place to learn, and we can help recruit into a dire need in our community. Something that's incredibly important and has livable wages. Carpenter, electrician, plumber can really start out at decent wages. They're not going to be rich. You're $15, $16, $17 an hour. But if you build your skills, if you start your own business, we're going to have an entrepreneurial focus. You can do a lot out there. So that's something that's really important. One thing that you don't have a picture of here that we did this year is partnering with the Industrial Commons, Working Burke, the school district, and multiple industries. I always want to call it Maldives. But still, I wasn't even here when it was Maldives. Everybody calls it that. But we partnered with them on an internship apprenticeship program this year. They were one of the first 3 that we brought in and signed, and they're sponsoring an apprentice to draw people in where they're paying students to go to school. That program, with our opt-in program that we had this summer, we've gone from 3 companies with 6, 7 apprentices back in January to we're up to 8 or 9 now. I think we're signing the next one on, and we're all over 25 apprentices in our county, growing our own workforce, investing in that machine tool, mechatronics, industrial systems. These are all programs, electrical systems, good paying jobs that are filling a need and drawing people into those programs and into our workforce to help our industries grow here. Our existing industries matter. We want to help them grow. And so the college took on registering that apprenticeship ourselves, and then companies can just sign on to it. Another one that you see there, the next slide that you have, as we look to the future, is working with our state representatives and our state senate. We have $15 million in the last state budget to relocate our emergency services training center to next to the Catawba River so that we can do swiftwater rescue, we can do high angle rescue, build a facility that will meet needs across our entire region. We do need a multi-story burn tower. We need the ability to do some more in our emergency services training, more EMTs, more emergency specialists, all of that working out. And so that will be relocating and working on sites right now, and going through the process of that, environmental, all the things that go into working on a land purchase. But we want that to be located in our county to draw folks in a way that will provide opportunities to provide training to all of our emergency responders across the area. The last thing that I want to leave you with, again, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. We'd love to have you out to the college at some point on our main campus just to show you some of the things we've got going on. But we are looking for opportunities to bring things out also so that people can exercise that. But I want to give you just one last thing here. Recently, just last week, I was in Greensboro because a young lady named Tabitha Arrowwood won an award for NC Works as the Adult of the Year because she came through NC Works to get training and get an education. Tabitha, she graduated with honors from Western Piedmont. Very proud of her. But she came through our adult sign language program. She is the only hearing person in her family. Everybody in her family was deaf. Incredible difficulties that she had growing up. Extreme poverty. But she maintained a positive attitude. She was goal-oriented. She was focused on her educational goals. Single mom, 2 young children. When she went to NC Works, the Workforce and Innovation Opportunity Act, the WIOA program, she was on SNAP. So she's receiving the old food stamp program. She's receiving SNAP benefits to feed her family. She's working 2 jobs trying to make ends meet. So she's in a family where everybody's deaf but her. And so when she looked at this, her primary language, even though she could hear, was American Sign Language. Verbal English was her second language, not her first. And so she looked at our programs, and we have an interpreter education program. And we have a large deaf community in our county. And she took that, and she graduated with honors, and she began to be employed in our disability services program at the college so that she could help other students navigate and get through. And that was pretty cool. But she passed the NC North Carolina Transliterator license in 2021. She passed the Educational Interpreter Performance Assessment, both difficult exams that she has to translate. And so with that, she then got a job with a company called Purple, translating for folks across the country. She also got a job, she's a motivated individual, working with the North Carolina School for the Deaf to help with translation services there. And it put her in a position to be able to buy her first home. So she went from being on SNAP, receiving benefits, 2 children, to being able to buy a home. When we help people and we give them opportunities, we can lift people out of poverty and make a difference. That's what Western Piedmont Community College does. And it's not that, I'm very proud of what we do. I take a lot of happiness in that, but it's also a statement of her grit and her heart. We can only give people opportunities. We can't make them successful. But she stuck with it. She made it through. We're excited that she does work for us. She still does interpreter work for us. It was fantastic. She still volunteers in the community, so now she is giving back to the community. And she says, I've accomplished much, but there's always more to do. For Western Piedmont, for us, we've accomplished a lot. There's always more to do. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. If you got any questions, I'm happy to answer them or go find an answer if I don't know the answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, 7C, discuss a contract with the Burke County REACT for road closures during the parade.
Yes, so we don't have a lot of discussion on the topic. So Alice, Jared, and myself, we have worked on a contract for the road closure services with Burke County REACT. We submitted the contract you've got in your agenda packet a few weeks back. However, after the board met, they wanted us to work on a revised, updated version. So we hope to get under contract with them by our next meeting to ensure that we do have the road closure services. So there's no action right now that council needs to take. If you have any questions, we can try to answer that. But we can provide council an official update once we have it.
Uh, 7D, consider the attorney fee and employment contract for interim legal services.
Yes, so as council knows, we've been working with Jared since Redmond's passing. This contract provides interim attorney services by Jared Amos. The details are in your packet under 7D. If you do have questions, we can go over those. However, staff does recommend approving this contract, and we will need a motion and vote.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, all in favor? Thank you. All right, E, that's been taken care of, the Community Thanksgiving Program. 7F, discussion regarding developing a plan for facility renovations.
Right now, we are talking about what to do with the auditorium and potentially the gymnasium. So the first thing I wanted to do before I let council break off into some type of discussion, we do want to review the projects that we do have currently in our pipeline. So currently right now, council has $2.3 million in projects. We have set aside roughly $1.2 million for Royal Park, $675,000 for the main Avenue East sidewalk project, $230,000 for the Tower and Breezeway project, and then currently, just as a placeholder, we have $225,000 for the auditorium. Now, based on the items that we looked at for the auditorium, we anticipate that number being above 225. So I do want council to keep that in mind. Also, the other project that we've looked at, we haven't set any money aside for yet, is the Burke River Trail. That's something that probably in the next 3, 5, 8 years, that's something we're going to want to heavily look at in terms of funding financially, and probably looking for grant money, assuming it's out there. So with that, we do have grant funds that will offset roughly $1.5 million. However, roughly 700,000 of the funds are matching funds that do require us to apply for reimbursement and meet all applicable guidelines that are in the program. So, we, at this time, staff does feel like it's probably best to hold off on adding, another round of projects until we at least either one, get to the finish line or start to approach the finish line of the other projects. Small things, obviously maintenance, that's not gonna be a big deal. But I know we're about to talk about the auditorium and possibly the gymnasium and what all you wanna see done with it. So just as a precursor to getting to that point, I did want you to have a reminder of what all you do currently have on the books. The other issue is that you've got 2.3 million on the books. The 1.2 million for Royal Park, I feel like that's a pretty good estimate on where that's gonna land. The 675 for Main Avenue East, there's a couple options with it. I do feel like it is gonna either be at or above that point. The one thing you are or may be able to do is, even if the main reason for the increase with it is the sidewalk concrete cost. That they're just is through the roof. I am hearing that some material costs are coming down from where they had been in terms of the high. But one of the things you're allowed to do in that program, hopefully, is limit the scope. So right now, we've got that project, or when we applied for it, we had that project going all the way out to Highway 70. We have talked with people at the Western Piedmont Council of Governments Transportation Department at scaling that back, bringing it back to on Main Avenue East, coming back to, I believe it's 3rd Street or 3rd Avenue. So basically right there at where the new apartments are. So that may save you some costs there. However, I would still bank on at least $675,000 for that project. And then with the tower and breezeway, again, the same as the sidewalk project, we have 230 set aside for it now. Both of those projects, you're not gonna know how much those come in at until you actually get a bid. So, we've got 2.3 million right now. That's a pretty good size sum for what we have in the bank. I don't wanna be the guy that tells you what to do with the money, especially on the auditorium, but we don't have a number for it either. We have set aside 225. So just, and then you do have the Burke River Trail that we don't have a number for yet. Where we're looking at that project to take place is essentially on Highway 70A. We did meet with Beth Hinley, who came in and gave you guys a presentation. I believe it's been 3 or 4 meetings back. But we also met with House of Representatives member Hugh Blackwell. The best spot that it's looking like for that trail is Highway 70A, coming into our existing sidewalks system from Longmeadow, from that side of 78. So nothing's been put in concrete in terms of where that's gonna go, how much it's gonna cost. We have no idea at this point. However, it's just something to keep in mind when we do start looking to add additional projects and expenditures. Just kind of keep in mind right now with the estimates we have, we're about 2.3 million. The guaranteed grant money you have is at 790,000. So you've got 640 in American Rescue Plan Act money. That is yours. The plan with that money, if you remember, is to offset salaries in this year, our prior year, and then probably a quarter-ish of the funds for 23-24 for salaries. So you take that money, you offset your salaries, you keep it in your general fund, and then you apply that money to your projects. So even if we consider offsetting our projects, we are using it for salary, which will save funds in the general fund. It's just moving money around. And then you have the $150,000 SCIF grant. When we received that, we went under contract with the state. The allocations we set that aside for were either updates to the auditorium or for Royal Park. So you've got that money, I think we talked about at the last meeting, that you can use for those 2 projects. Currently, what we've had done with bond at the auditorium has cost us about $3,500. In terms of me, Mike, Bond, and Kathy Stallings met at the auditorium this past week, I think it was. to review any type of scope changes in terms of what we've asked for. So he's working on that now. He couldn't have that done by tonight, but he should have that done by the next meeting. So it can really be more of a discussion once you talk with him at the next meeting. But it's just something to keep in mind before we maybe reach a consensus on anything new.
Any discussion? More questions? I guess we want to take a vote on this for this time, this discussion, okay. All right, if there's no discussion on it, we're going to October facilities report. That is in your packet. I don't know if you need to make any comment on that. Okay. What was G? H, September tax report. That's in your packet. I, September deputy report. That's in your packet. If there's any comment on any of those. And then finally, our committee reports. Oh, great, I lost my paper. Here it is. Okay, one, technical coordinating committee.
I do not have a report for you on that.
Okay, transportation advisory committee.
It's only Wednesday.
All right, Western Piedmont Council of Government, policy board.
Yeah, meeting was last month. Y'all had the agenda and the minutes.
Burke Economic Development representative.
Yes, so currently one of the biggest needs, again, is housing. They are looking at putting a committee together to review that. That's something we haven't done yet at this point. They did approve a 5% raise for Alan Wood, along with a one-time $12,000 bonus based on the work that he has done. They also discussed and unveiled the Murphy's Farm project. So that was a market rate housing project in Morganton. So if you do want to see more information on that, I can pass it along. But at this point, that's all I got.
Recreation and tourism.
Nothing to report.
Water Resource Committee. Vedic.
We meet Thursday at, Valley.
Burke County Library Board of Trustees. The things that affect us here at our library, they are adding more shelves in the library because we have more books, which is good news. The staff there has requested more lighting at the library for safety. Just some statistics. Burke County spends $1.41 per person for materials, library materials. The average in the state is $2.44 a person. So we're lagging behind. They're looking to start the bookmobile service back to the outlying areas. That's pretty much all things that apply to us. So, Comprehensive Master Plan Steering Committee.
We had another meeting. We had a meeting,
We had one, with, several couple weeks ago.
I missed that last one.
Yeah. Basically, we reviewed the zoning of the things we've been talking about, and they had some, renderings of how things could look, the sidewalks, the little, they recommend like parks and things like that, so we got some renderings and things like that. Nothing set in stone, it's just some thoughts ahead. And I think we're trying to get to the final, or to the end of it, or we can do another public meeting, I think, and bring full council, I guess.
All right, thank you. The Festival Committee, okay, we just met. So you think I will remember everything, wouldn't you? Logan, do you have any comment on?
Yes, so no, we have planned out the budget for this for the parade. So there's actually two things we want to talk about with the committee. But the first one is, so for the parade, we have kind of reached our maximum budget. One of the things that the committee had discussed, and I think maybe, we've talked about it a little bit with council, on an individual basis, is they would like to add, in addition to the parade, a showing similar to what we did with, what was the show that? Yeah, the Wizard of Oz. Similar to that, but this would be for Polar Express, given the Christmas season. They would like to have a showing of Polar Express with that, given the cost for the movie, costume cleanings, projector screen, movie rentals, say candy canes, jingle bells, things along that nature that would go along with the show. We would need a $600 budget increase. Staff does recommend that we do think it'll add value to the parade. We also have some organizations, the churches that are volunteering. The director of cast is volunteering to actually put on the show. So that's not something we're paying for. However, the movie rights for one showing is $400, and I believe it's $75 at the minimum. We don't want to charge ticket sales. We don't want to have any type of concession sales. That's stuff that we have to keep track of and then report on. It's also something that could increase the cost of the movie rights, depending on how many tickets you would sell theoretically if you went down that road again. We don't want to do that. But that would be the significant portion of it at $475. So, $495.
And the churches are providing hot chocolate and cookies. They're doing that for free for us, so.
Yeah, I believe it's like an intermission during the movie. They would provide the cookies and hot chocolate.
So we need a motion for the budget increase.
Yes, $600.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget request, increase for the zone.
All right, all in favor? All right, thank you. And,
Yeah, and the second part of that, now it would be a separate vote, but, yeah, so when we first designated the committee, we designated it as a festival committee for the festival that we want to hold in the spring of 2024. However, now that we've passed in with the parade and kind of some post-parade, events, added on, maybe changing their name from the festival committee to the events committee, if that would be something council's open to. It would slightly expand their scope, but it would fit what they're doing already. So we need a motion to change it to the events committee.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
okay, all in favor? Thank you. All right, let's see, that's all our committees, okay. Other business.
Well, we're still trying to talk about parade. Can I ask the council who all will be in the parade? Participating in it, riding in the vehicle? Is that everybody?
I don't know, yeah.
Well,
I'm not gonna be able to line people up, all I do is ask for it.
Oh, that was the other thing. How many volunteers do we have to help?
I thought that I was called and I told them that I would, so.
Okay, and I volunteered also to help. And I guess we're gonna have some people on the committee, I hope.
Yeah.
I'm looking back at Karen. Anybody else volunteer to line up the parade?
How many do you need? Everybody,
Right. December 3rd.
everybody.
I'll try to tell.
Thank you.
Okay, so if everybody's gonna participate, we talked about possibly riding in a vehicle or golf carts. We kind of felt like maybe,
Vehicle would go.
a
A
vehicle.
vehicle would be better since you've got the bags of candy that you're gonna have two people walking beside the car and handing out, and then you're gonna trade off and let two other people hand out the candy. We're going to, take the candy that Alice, obtains, and put it into Ziploc bags so we can so you can hand this out to the kids because we can't throw candy.
Yeah, the current idea is you'd have 4 in the car, 2 walking, and then just around a third of the distance, just 2 of them switch out.
Switch out.
Golf cart.
Well, what does everybody want? A car or a golf cart?
Car.
Car.
Okay.
If you want the car, in the past, I can't remember the dealership on 70, but they have provided a vehicle for us to use for free. I can get the vehicle, I just need someone either in staff or if a council member wants to volunteer to go pick the vehicle up. Have a second person ride back. We can figure that out later though.
Any other business?
Yes, the one thing I wanted to bring up right now is, there is a camera system, and Gary, you chime in, when I start to go off the rails. But there is a, camera system offered by Flock. It is a system that is used interchangeably with other police, units and forces, not just in North Carolina, but from what I understand around the country. They charge $2,500 per camera per year. Currently, we had a meeting amongst all the municipalities within Burke County to see who would be interested in putting up cameras within their corporate limits. Right now, I believe Catawba County does provide this service. The municipalities in Burke went ahead and voted to purchase cameras are Conley Springs and Rutherford College. Rutherford College has agreed to purchase 2. Conley Springs has agreed to purchase 4. We're looking at least maybe our first year ordering 2 to see how it works. But any of us who get onto this system, I also believe Caldwell County has purchased some of these. So what this would do is the footage goes into like a central database. Any of the municipalities that agree to do this are able to go in and access that footage. Here's what happens. Gary, again, tell me if I'm wrong. But if a car comes in through one of these cameras, commits a crime, then goes throughout any of the other locations where there's a camera, that car is then put into a lock. And so they're able to go in and research this car to kind of see what kind of route it may have taken throughout Burke County, Catawba County. I know there's places in Georgia, South Carolina that have it. So it would be used as a law enforcement tool to try and help solve thefts, any type of crime that would have a motor vehicle attached to it. They can search things, not just the make and model of the car, but if there's damage. So for example, if you had a white, let's say, F-150 that had damage on the rear right side, they would be able to search that criteria and narrow it down. So it does seem like a great tool. It is $2,500. They do try to install them at a height that's not inviting vagrants. So no, they install it 12 feet high. They do replace the first one for free. However, I think it's $350 after that for each replacement. And then again, for the service to access it, use it, it's $2,500 per year. Gary, do you want to?
Well, with the $2,500 per year, you're paying for the software, for the upgrade to the software during the year and the maintenance of it. The $350 is just a one-time install for the cameras. In Caldwell County, we have 7 cameras. Conover has cameras. Alexander County, Catawba County, and Conley Springs, as we said, the 4, and Rutherford College 2 so far. It all goes into a central database. We use our cameras here at Town Hall. We just used one last week to help solve a stolen motor vehicle. But technology, with the way it's streaming, everything's going cameras. It would definitely be a benefit to Burke County. And it's not just larceny of motor vehicle. They could rob a store, commit murder, and the vehicle that they're in, we're going to know exactly where it is, and if it travels through any of our roads that has cameras, or another county that has obtained cameras. I think they can install them as soon as first of the year. We're bringing it to our community to see if we can get get enough involvement, to where it'd be worth our while. Which I think is a great idea. Time will tell, but I think it's positive.
In terms of traffic in town, not including Interstate 40, but the two highest traffic points in town are coming off Interstate 40 on South Center Street. You've got about 7,000 cars. Then the highest point on Highway 70 is actually coming in town from Hickory, right there at 10th Street. I-40. You're at 8,900 cars per day. That's DOT's count. So in terms of placement, we don't want to decide that tonight. We want to work with, if council agrees to do this,
With the detectives, for the best possible locations.
work with other towns, the detectives, figure the location out at that point, but
If we didn't get one, this would be kind of the hole, wouldn't it? You see it right here, then they might get going.
would be a gap.
That's what I'm saying, without a gap there, they
Yeah.
might disappear. Like all this homeless, it's all.
And the idea is to catch them going and coming on the roads, whether it be from Caldwell County into Burke County, but, I'm sure most of you have heard the term all roads lead to Burke. We want to change that and so that this element will not come to Burke.
Yeah, and the other idea is the more municipalities and counties that do participate in it, the stronger the network itself is.
Yes.
Because you have more data, you don't have the gaps. So, staff would recommend purchasing probably 2 at this point. It is up to council, whether or not we do this. We would need a budget amendment.
They service and all that, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Is that $25,000 per camera or all for both of them?
Per camera.
Yes.
$5,000.
Well, and you would want the install fee, and I believe that
And
is,
the upgrade. Is the install fee, yes. 2,500 plus the 350.
And when they gave the presentation at Congress Springs, the suggestion was get them in pairs because it looks at the tail lights. That's how it identifies what the vehicle is. So if you search for white Ford truck 2020, it would identify it by the tail lights. So you need to have one in each direction.
Going coming.
Yeah. So
the other good thing about it, like he just said, it's gonna identify the license plate. Even if you have a decal on your vehicle, it will identify the decal. They can search that. So it's a pretty in-depth system. But no, Jared's right. What you would want is something that covers multiple spots.
and you have to opt in to sharing. And I think that everybody wants to do it, but I don't know why you wouldn't, but you want to opt in to share with new anybody that has it.
Be a budget amendment. Let's do 7,000 just in case, but we assume the costs are gonna be $28.50 per camera. If they're anywhere close to above that or 7, I can let council know and we can bring it back next month. But just cover all the costs, I'd say a safe number is 7,000. Anything we don't use obviously stays in the bank account, doesn't get used, and then rolls over to next year.
And I believe they're moving to one thing. I think that was what.
Excuse me?
They can be relocated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So would you need 2 motions, one for budget amendment and one to purchase a camera, or just a budget amendment?
If you do the budget amendment, no, we can, I don't think you would need to do it. Well, Jared, you tell me, I don't think we need a
No,
council
if
motion for it.
if they amend the budget to allow that, then that's what's.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion for a budget amendment for $7,000.
Okay, all in favor? Thank you.
Logan, do you have any update on the camper that was moved into the mobile home park?
Yeah, we were contacted. So I do want to put 2 things on the record. Number one, the individual who did come in requesting the rezoning, that was one of the threats that he did make prior to requesting the rezoning, was that if we did not accept his rezoning request, he would intentionally start to move in trailers and mobile homes. So again, this was the first act on behalf of that threat. So no, what we did, we contacted code enforcement. We've talked with Rachel Wooster, our town planner. I've also spoken with Allison Adams and Johnny Ware at the Council of Governments. We have a meeting. I think we're trying to get on the books October 27th, this Thursday, to meet on this and to talk about it. However, Deputy Towery and our code enforcement officer, Chad Powell, have both already went to the site, taken pictures. From what we understand, they're running power from one of the abandoned mobile homes that still has access to Duke Energy power. They're running that via a drop cord to the camper. They've hooked up a pipe, which is just running sewage out onto the yard, which is an environmental health issue with the county. So,
It's 4-inch sewer
that,
that's running
I
into
saw
a
what
tap
they did,
on the,
and he said the best time, why didn't you just call it?
we spent 2 hours last Friday, 360 degrees around each trailer document.
Indicted little blueberries.
Well, he said he would do it. Somebody needs to make a believer out
Well,
of him.
maybe also.
And we went in a truck, go come to a board out there.
you can, after following some rules, that's gonna be one of the
They're breaking the
discussions.
law, we wouldn't be breaking the law.
So you do have to go through some timelines, notifications, meetings, some opportunities to remove it. But I promise we'll discuss, you have the option from anywhere from finding it, removing it, to demolishing it. So we'll discuss that, and then if we need to bring that to council next month, if it can't be handled through code enforcement, we can do that. However, I do think the gentleman, just based on the zoning violations with the mobile homes, he already has a meeting with the code enforcement officer to address the pre-existing issues. So this will be an issue added on top of that. Each individual violation per camper, per mobile home is $50 per day per violation. So we'll look at that, but
Well, we can raise some money that way.
I can send council an update after we meet on Thursday.
Is there somebody actually living in it?
Yes.
There
I know there was a pickup parked at it the other day when I come through.
Yeah, they're renting one of them.
The one we rented for $895 a month, the one on the far right, if you're facing it, it was online, I seen it.
That's the one they're taking power from.
Yeah, they showed pictures of it, it's a dump, and they're wanting $890 a month.
I thought he
This
was
was
helping
last
for it.
week.
That's what he said. He patted his body, is what he
Well,
said.
it depends on how many people move in it. Divided by 12, that's not bad.
I'm not even gonna say that on that. I'm gonna leave that alone right now. I want to.
So yeah, if you have any other questions on that, I'll get you an update this Thursday. The majority of us have agreed to meet. If it's not this Thursday, I'll let you know. But two other things I did want to bring up. The first, maybe council wants to make a consensus motion on this. We were approached by DOT in this past month with them wanting to address the traffic issues at the intersection of South Center Street and Main Avenue and South Center Street. They approached the town wanting to know if they could put in a four-way stop. We approached them trying to be proactive in this situation year and a half, 2 years ago, and put in for a roundabout. I know council right now is in agreement, but they were at the time, the previous council, to install a roundabout. Now that project, along with a lot of other projects, did get asked from DOT's funding opportunities based on construction costs going up in the last 2 years during COVID. So we did want to look to address this in terms of a safety standpoint. I want it to be known that our council was proactive in trying to address any issues at that intersection. Now what we went back and told them is, given the fact, again, one of your highest traffic points in town is coming off Interstate 40 on South Center Street, 7,000 cars per day. You don't want to always stop there. So we have asked that they look into a stoplight at that intersection. I have not heard back from them. However, they did approach us twice asking that. Both times I gave them that response. So if council is in consensus to provide a stoplight at that intersection, make that as a motion and vote.
Stoplights do four-way stopping.
But apparently the stop signs don't do any good, or there's one that's come through here
what, 2 months ago, Gary?
Yes.
Tried to take one of our trucks out. I mean, in a little small car, it wanted to compete with the tractor trailer.
Well, one of the initial things they explained why they couldn't do a stoplight is they didn't have the easements to hang things, but they hung the flashers for several months at a time. So it's very doable. But yeah, we would.
I'd much rather see a stoplight. There's not enough room for a roundabout. You're gonna take up all, no, I can't see that.
Yes, if we want to just do that as a consensus motion vote, council, let's do that as a vote, motion vote to, propose a stop line at that intersection.
I'll make the motion, put a stoplight up, have a stoplight put up at the intersection of, Main Avenue.
And South Center.
All right, all in favor? Thank you.
Then one other thing is, Texas Fish Camp did a fundraiser for, the playground equipment, the all-inclusive playground equipment that we're looking to put up at Royal Park. They raised $3,600, in their fundraising effort. We would like to have them down here, to thank them, and congratulate them on what they did, and possibly send that story, along with the mayor or members of council, and some representatives from Texas Fish Camp to the Morganton News Herald, for what they did. If that's something council is okay with. Alright. And that's all I got.
Any other business?
I'll make that motion.
Can I make a comment about the cameras that they're talking about?
Yes.
It's been 4 or 5 years back, they had a show called Escape. And they let like 6 groups leave, so you had to get from point A to point B. If you made it to point B, you won a certain amount of money. Well, Atlanta had that camera system at the time, and they recorded every license plate, and you know how busy Atlanta is. They, every day, 24/7, they clock every license plate that goes through downtown Atlanta. 3/4 of the people that got caught by those cameras. So they didn't make it to their destination. Well, it only aired for 5 or 6 weeks, and they took it off the air because of that fact, that people were finding out how to get around camera systems and how to go around Atlanta without getting spotted on the camera. So it works. But they actually took that program off the air because of that. It was letting out too many secrets to let people know how to get around this system. But it worked. As many cars go through Atlanta, it clocks every license plate 24/7.
I say as much as we got been going around our area in the just in the last year and a half, I think the cameras would be the best thing to be put up.
And the other point about those cameras was, it's not something that somebody's been monitoring all the time. It's just if there is a crime, they'll go back and look. It's not.
At least you got something to go back and look at.
Right. That was the point. It wasn't looking for things. It's trying to help people who are victims, essentially, or stop things in progress.
I put lots of
Any
flashlights on
announcements?
the movement. That way I got a good side.
Anybody else got anything to say? All right,
Okay, I'll make the motion to adjourn.
all in favor?
Yeah. But it's something, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, that's what I'm thinking. We do, we need to be paid.
That's fine. I got mine right.
I think we do, if we need to talk about it.
I know.